Puppy Trainer Show. This is where we answer all of your questions about puppyhood. I'm Bethany.
And I'm Sparky from the Puppy Academy.
If you have a puppy question you need help with, join us live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific time on Instagram or TikTok at the Puppy Academy.
This is where we tackle your toughest training challenges and guide new puppy parents on how to make puppyhood easy.
If you're ready for more in-depth puppy help right now, check out our online school at thepuppyacademy.com to have us personally guide you through every step of puppyhood and in raising a happy, well-mannered pup.
We're excited you're here. And now, let's get to the show. Hello, everybody.
Hi,
Welcome
everyone.
to Ask a Puppy Trainer Show, episode 177. You have Bethany and Sparky here.
And Daisy getting very excited.
Daisy,
Hi, Daisy.
Lots of love, lots of excitement.
She's so cute. She's so chunky.
And then I got
She's the best little belly.
And guys, we have both of our chats open, so if you guys are posting in the chat, we'd love to follow up with those.
Sorry.
Is that right? Oh,
that's me.
I was like, wow.
I forgot to turn the sound down.
So we'd love to follow up. That's actually one of our favorite things is to kind of go back and forth through the chat because we feel like it is way more interactive. So please jump in if we're answering your question. This is from Lep.
Oh wait, I need to say something. So I swear I'm not choking Daisy. It looks like I'm choking her. I'm giving her slow, like scratchy massages. No, I'm sorry. All right.
Can I go?
Yeah, just jump in.
Okay. From Lep06. My 6-month-old pup bites my 9-year-old all the time. The only time he bites. Yeah, that can be difficult because a lot of 9-year-olds have a lot of energy. And so do puppies. So puppies kind of get mixed up and they start assuming that your 9-year-old is another puppy they can play with because they have a similar energy style. So there's a couple different things you can do. One, it's always good to get them on a schedule. A lot of puppies who don't have enough downtime that we control, so they're kind of like cranky all the time. They're overexcited, overamped. That will help them settle just by starting that. And then when they come out of the crate, try having a leash on them. And that doesn't mean they can just drag it because they're still going to be chasing on your son trying to do that. You got to be holding it and you can turn it into a training session. You can have your son wear a pouch the minute your dog comes out of the crate and build up more of a relationship for training. But that means we minimize some of the play. You got to really change your son's relationship with your dog in more of a positive aspect for training, not just play. I'm going to let you go over the whole wear the pouch, walk 2 steps thing because that's your jam.
Well, first, the 9-year-old may not want to do that. That's possible. So let's make sure that the 9-year-old is reacting the way that we need them to when he is being jumped on, nipped, things like that. So basically, if, your kid is walking, they need to be coached that as soon as they feel teeth or they're jumped on or they freeze, be a tree and fold in your limbs, okay? And cross your arms or do the coffin thing like
That's just always what I tell people. I don't know why.
And tell them to freeze. And a 9-year-old, I would absolutely teach to bump their knee into the dog if the dog is being intrusive. But it's a little hard to show on here, but I would absolutely teach a 9-year-old to be able to do that. But they can just say no, maybe stomp their foot. If it's really crazy, they can say no, stomp their foot one time and wait for mom or dad, call for mom or dad or wait for you to come up. That's a way to de-escalate the dog. And so the dog doesn't only see your kid like a piece of fun meat, like a toy. So that's really important. And the other thing is you could try a pet corrector. A pet corrector squirts out air. It makes the sound. So she even went a little stoic for a second. I mean, she's sensitive to noises. And I'd introduce it to your son in another room so it doesn't startle him. I think you said son. Oh, no, you didn't. You just said 9-year-old. So,
well,
son or daughter.
Son probably because the dog's biting him so much.
Son or daughter.
probably a boy. If I knew my childhood well.
But anyway, he needs to freeze though. The child still needs to freeze. And then you would come in with the pet corrector. No.
I want to address one more thing too before you end it, before you move on.
Go ahead. Because I just have a list of things I'm trying to hit.
6-month-old. It's not a young puppy. That's an adolescent dog. Yeah. When I was young, my aunt took me to a park. She had 2 dogs, one that was young, about 6 to 8 months old, one that was about 5 or 6 years old. And when the 8-month-old puppy started jumping on me, she actually advocated for my space. It was a really, really big way of building relationship with myself and the dog, because every time the dog came to jump, she would pull me behind her stand there
and
and
bump
bump into the dog.
Yeah.
And she would then grab my back and take a step forward with me. So I was actually getting more leverage with the dog because I was actually taking some of the leverage she already had with the animal. So what's happening there is you're building a relationship for your child through your own action. You're teaching them how to walk in, how to step in, how to body block if they're old enough to do it.
But you may not know how to do that. And so I highly suggest that you would teach place in a balanced way where you're using body language to teach them how to stay on place. And that's a whole nother topic. But anyway, there's that. And then the other thing I would do is this dog's got to be on a leash. If your son is out and the puppy is being supervised, the dog needs to be dragging a leash around because it's a 6-month-old. So when you try these new techniques, even if it's food-based, you could just start doing food and the dog starts jumping and nipping at you and your kid's hands like crazy because you're trying to use food when they're a little too excited. So there's a number of things here that can get in the weeds. And so having that leash to pick up, and you just do pressure. You don't lift the puppy up off the ground, their front paws. You don't do that, but you do enough pressure to where they kind of settle back and you're just like, calm down. And then you or your son take 2 steps, stop, piece of food. Take 2 steps, stop, piece of food. So you're training what not to do as well as what you want your puppy to do. You need both of those things. It's very important. And I think that's probably enough.
And for a 6-month-old puppy, it sounds like a Puppy Academy online school would be a great fit for that.
Yes.
Especially if you're at that part of your training, because that's literally your first video.
All right, guys, we're going to jump into some questions on Instagram. Deb, hi, Deb. Hello from Long Island. Woo! You are literally at the other, furthest edge of the country. How you doing? I'm getting a golden retriever, 4 months old, was never crate trained. How do you begin with that? Honestly, just to be really clear, you just put them in there and close the door. Now, I would start with some patterning, but not with excitement. If you've got the opportunity, we get you before you even get your puppy, and I've got the opportunity to kind of shape this with you, handful of their kibble. We call it house, toss a piece of food in, they come right out. House, 10 times. Then you use the door as spatial pressure to teach them to wait. Then let's go. Back in, piece of food, and then at the end of the day, once they're tired, you've taken them for their we would call it an indoor walk because you're just getting your new puppy. I wouldn't just take them outside right away, even at 4 months old. I would work them inside, play with them, and then do this calm house patterning routine. Nice and tired, shut the door, drape a cloth over it as long as you've got good ventilation or it's just not too hot this time of year. I'm sure you're fine. and walk away and see how he does. Honestly, the very first night, that puppy is sleeping in crate, no exceptions. That's the big thing.
It's the hardest thing too because not every breeder, not every rescue uses them.
Yeah.
Also check our blog. We have a masterclass for a structure schedule where you can literally build your own. We answer a lot of questions inside of it. Yeah. Has a lot of valuable information. But the schedule isn't just to put your dog in the crate. It's to help them be tired when they come out of it to make them more tired before they go back into it. It's kind of like the complete part of it.
Well, you could also check out our online school.
I already flexed the online school.
We have everything.
I had to tell them about something free first.
Very broken down, but yes, that's a free.
The potty schedule is free if you guys want that one to start with. They'll give you an idea of kind of our style too.
Okay. Yes, which is a good point. Daniel says, my mixed breed is 1 year. She's so good and obedient, but see, there's always a but.
There's always a but.
You could just go ahead and get right to the but. All right. We've struggled with stopping her from getting overexcited when people come over. We tried keeping her in her dog bed, which is what we call place. Sometimes it works, but she's shaking. Let's see. Any tips? Shaking with excitement. Any tips? Okay, Danielle. Yes. So if food doesn't trump guests, and with a lot of dogs it doesn't, like the fun and excitement of a new guest, you don't have the focus with food, even if you did turns and did all of that. So for me, I would just make sure that you're breaking everything down, like really, really specifically. So this is what I mean. Think about it like this. Someone knocks on the door and you text them. You should prep them before they even get there, but you're like, okay, you're staying out there for a bit. You calm the puppy down with the door knocking first. You get to where you can back tie the puppy and get to the door without the puppy it's a 1-year-old dog. It's not a puppy anymore. So you should be able to walk to the door while your dog stays on place. You're using blocking if it doesn't. Then it's like you open the door. Nobody says anything. You just like open it. Your dog pops off. No, go back in, reset. And then do a couple of, if you want to, food back and forth, good. Keeping them as calm as possible. Open the door, let them see the person. Nobody said anything yet. As soon as you go, how you doing? And they go, good, fine, thanks. The dog's gonna fly off, they're back tied, you go back, reset them. Maybe you have to undo the back tie and do a little bit of let's go work, get them back on place. You have to break every step down. Then you have someone come in. This is the big thing. This is my big thing.
Hardest part too.
You cannot be a normal host where you're like, come on in. And you've got the person walking in the house. You're going to get a dog that's overexcited, nervous, territorial, aggressive, all the feelings. Whatever the feelings of the dog is, they think they're justified in those feelings because you just let someone walk into the house and no one is controlling the situation. And so you want to be like, okay, you move closer to the puppy and you're like, step on in, close the door behind you, stay right there. And you're still working on the energy of your dog. If you really want to be diligent about it, if you want to have a dog that really, works on you don't get any attention, they don't get any attention until they've stopped their anticipation shaking. And you're like, okay, go on in, have a seat. I'm going to work my dog for 5-10 minutes, and then we'll go from there. You do let's go work, place, let's go, or just turns, whatever works. If they still can't calm down in place, you could try crate as well if you want. You're holding the leash next to your dog in place. If they can't handle just being back tied, if they keep getting up, you got to be right next to them in place. Happens to us all the time with young dogs because this is a hard one for really happy dogs. And the dog has to basically forget that someone just came over. When they've forgotten and they're like, whatever, they're not going to let me do anything, then you can unclip the leash or guide them over, say hello, pet, 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 and then back to place or crate when they're done saying hi. And so that's how I would really, break this routine down. It's like, I could tell you some other things to do. He might have some ideas, but for me, none of it is fair if you don't break down those individual steps to set the expectation for the puppy with each individual step.
Bethany is very much an in the brain of the dog type dog trainer. Very much so. I am a little bit more in the brain of the owner and the people coming in type dog trainer.
Are you? Yeah, you
I
are.
am.
You
I
are.
absolutely am.
He is, whatever.
I actually think what she said is 1000% valuable, but I also want to add an element to it. And I know she addressed it, but I'm going to address it again. It's the people coming in that are going to break your dog's focus.
Yeah.
No look, no talk, no touch. I know it sounds a little bit harsh, but you're telling your guests that when coming in because your dog is just one glance away from jumping off that place, bulldozing over that couch back, and then jumping all over them and giving them love, which some people might like, but we're shaping our puppy for the future. Yeah. I want to be able to have the choice of whether my dog is allowed to jump because it's maybe a small dog, or if it's a big dog and they have to lay on the ground and get pets. All of that truly, truly does matter. I don't want to go over the let's go work. That was my initial one to go over, but they may not know that, obviously. So I would say focus on your people coming in, set really, really good boundaries. I showed up at an owner's house one time for a lesson. I'd never worked with them. And I saw my own little paper sitting on their door that says, hi, all coming in. Please do not, touch, talk, or look at my puppy for the first 35 minutes. I posted that online 9 years ago. And it somehow made its way back. So everyone, it's a very, very valuable technique to help your puppy settle and make their job a lot easier with your guests coming over.
And you have to decide what you want. Do you want a puppy that's calmer, that cares more about you, but still friendly, but cares more about the family and just learns to exist when excitement is happening around them? Or do you want a puppy that's social and says hi to everybody? Because there are repercussions to that. You have a dog that ignores you and wants to say hi to everyone.
And you can have a balance. You can get both with the things that we're talking about.
You can.
It's just harder.
You just have to work really hard to get to balance.
Short-term loss for a long-term gain.
Exactly. You don't get, like right now I have an 8-year-old German Shepherd. She's crazy social, the most social dog I've ever had. She greets people at the door now. It's no big deal because then they just say hi to her and then I can just put her in place. It's not, but none of my other dogs have ever been allowed to do that because you give them an inch, they take a mile, they have anxiety, one of them sometimes barks. And so there's like all kinds of things I'm, having to figure out. I have a sweet, friendly dog. She can absolutely do it, but she did it for the first 2 years of owning her.
That's how Cheyenne is for me.
Yep.
Cheyenne can greet people. Ladybug cannot, because she will either get overexcited and jump and scratch old people, or she just keeps pacing in circles.
Pacing and gets herself worked up. And so anyway, different strokes, for different folks. It's the same thing in the dog training world, but we want to make sure that we're giving you the foundation to get to what you're asking, and that's what you got to do. Let's grab one. Do we have any TikTok?
I just got one.
Oh, we do have one.
I literally have one.
We'll do a TikTok.
This is from Olivia. I have a toy poodle, so very, very small, like 4 to 6 pounds usually. 5 months, how do I teach her to walk and not eat everything on the street? And what's this next one?
5-month-old pit bull.
Yeah, no, very different question. So, 5-month-old poodle, how to get her to not eat stuff on the street? Toy poodle. That's really tough. They're low to the ground. And normally, if I hear that from an owner, I'll go through all the basics, walk your dog inside, front yard, backyard, like you're really training all the proper habits in an area that you control. That last part, control, is important, meaning that I can police the ground and remove all the cigarette butts off my driveway or whatever's there, and then walk her, and there's not as much temptation. It's hard though when you go on the sidewalk. What you're really looking for is the ability to get your dog's focus, and a lot of it's preventative. If I see something on the ground, I am always looking on the ground, just like my dog is always looking on the ground.
Yeah.
I see something up ahead, heel, let's go, and I kind of just put my body between her and the item, and I just walk her around it a little bit.
Especially if you're on harness.
Yeah, because even with our big dogs, I mean, I know we've mentioned training tools before, like slip leads, things like that, but this dog's going to be that big is really, really hard, and there's not many tools made for them. So what you're really looking for is being able to get sharp focus quickly through your food training, through all the come practice you do in the morning, relationship building exercise, 20 to 50 repetitions of come every morning. So you can say your puppy's name and they look at you quickly and come when called. You're looking for a responsiveness that will help you on your walk, and it does take a few months of doing indoor and outdoor controlled areas before you can get that. You want to add?
I would honestly look into a slip leash or gentle leader. Here's the thing though, with such a small dog with slip leash, you have to have really good handling skills.
Do you think a 3/8 of an inch would still be too big?
No, well, they on Amazon you can get like a super thin rope.
Oh, like a dominant dog lead almost.
Almost thinner.
Yeah,
it's actually thinner. If you, gosh, I wish I knew what it was called.
3/8 of an inch is too large. I'll tell you that right now because I have two toy poodles, a 4-pound and a 9-pound. And 9-pound is wildly large for a toy poodle, and a slip lead is too big for both of those guys.
The thin one, the 3/8 of an inch.
Yeah, 3/8 of an inch is too big.
But you can get, if you go on YouTube and you type in like thin, small dog, slip leash, they do have this tiny, tiny little one, but I wish I knew what it's called.
I gotta check that out. I gotta look it up.
But anyway, I would consider that, but you do have to you can't let the puppy pull. Like, that's the thing. You shouldn't let adult dogs pull either. The whole point is to teach them not to pull. So if you're new to, leading a dog by the head, which everybody, I think should have the skill to do. But if you're new to that, you should get some one-on-one help with that, because a small dog, you do have to be really conscious of how much they're pulling. That's why a gentle leader, they do make extra smalls, and it would be a better option for you, but there's a learning curve. There is a fussy learning curve to gentle leaders.
How old was the dog?
But 5 months. But I do think it might be worth it to look into that, look at some videos, on gentle leaders and see what you think about it. If you want to continue with harness, that's perfectly fine. You just need to build food drives. So look into ways to build food drives, start working for their daily meals in the house, and then maybe a higher value, jerky or something outside, like liver, freeze dried liver, or a type of jerky dog food, like real meat. Like literally it's called real meat, makes a good one. Something higher value, or boiled chicken. That's sort of what I did with my little dog, Happy, who was the same size probably as yours, because I did harness for a while with her until I thought she was strong enough to have something around the neck. Anyway, long story short, those are some options for you. If you are going to continue with harness and you need to build food drive, you're going to also have to get really good at the blocking that he talked about. So it's like if I'm walking and my dog, we're doing food work, and then all of a sudden goes for a leaf, let it go, just do a turn off of the leaf, but goes for a rock, goes for a cigarette butt, goes for bird poop, something that you really don't want them to have, is you want to do pressure on the harness, like kind of up, maybe back a little, but preferably up in the air, and then you get in their way and you scoot your foot, because this is not a big dog. You kind of shuffle your foot over, or in front of what it is they want, and you actually make them physically get back, and then hopefully they will look up at you. Good. food, turn, walk by that thing again 3-4 times until your dog is paying attention to you. And the no, the claiming of space has like landed, like it's landed with the dog, if that makes sense. Okay. Oh, Zeke says, my dog only I don't have age. Zeke, can we have age of your puppy? We need to know age and like breed mix. You had another one, a 5-month-old pitty?
So I have a 5-month-old pit bull mix. She's reactive to other dogs. How can I stop that? So for that one, we are going to recommend that you guys get one-on-one private training with hopefully a balanced dog trainer that actually works with puppies that are starting to show a little bit of reactivity. A lot of that is habitual that we're starting at home with a lot of different habits they have. So what I would say for that one is look for a balanced dog trainer who works with puppies who are starting to have a little bit of reactivity. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of different boxes that we'd have to check to go over that one. Mm-hmm. And very likely we're not gonna be able to help you as much as we'd like to through a live.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, I agree. Right. Can I see it though? Let me just, that's the Cavapoo. Other dogs, stop that. I would definitely, just to give you the short version, just a gal, is to, oh crap, I tried to comment to someone. Sorry, I don't know.
You commented just a gal.
Is in the meantime, I would go ahead and look into a training tool to get head control of that puppy, but you're going to practice in the house and in the yard before you go outside and do it, and start working that dog for food for all of their meals until you kind of figure out a jumping off point from there. But that would be the starter. Is you want head control. There's a number of tools to choose from. Find out what you like. Watch about 5 YouTube videos on that.
Yes.
And then start hand feeding like crazy all of their meals and building that drive. Don't try to do it outside right away. Just find a couple of exercises to do, like let's go work and place and come. And that's what you need to focus on. The idea is you'll be able to do those outside and catch your puppy before they escalate, and it makes it more about you and your relationship together rather than your dog feeding off of their environment. But it's definitely something, because, we all know we want to have that breed and have it be a good representative of that breed. It's important.
Have an open mind to tools with whatever trainer you go with.
Yep.
They are a strong breed.
Yep. And I would look into balance training, even though I know that means a number of things. That's the short version, is look into a balance trainer is our suggestion. And please get one-on-one right away.
We really don't recommend you introduce a training tool by yourself.
Nope.
Any bad review you've ever read, it's usually because it's either a bad trainer or an owner doing it themselves without any kind of knowledge of how to use it properly.
So Zeke says, dog barks at people and other dogs in my apartment complex. When we go anywhere, she seems unbothered. So this is just happening at home and it's getting worse. Barking, growling, lunging. It's an 11-month-old Cavapoo. Oof. Okay. So again, you are still in the puppy range, Zeke. That's why I asked, because 11 months is so different than 11 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're basically dealing with a teenager versus an infant. It really is just a huge difference in that age range. I mean, this is tough.
I need phone. I mean, read the question.
It's 3 of them in a row. So you have to start with, even though it's 11 months old, I would still start with food work and boundaries. So what kind of basic obedience does this dog know? And what have you proved? So what I mean by that is, have you taught place, which means go to your bed, lay down and stay, and you can drop a ball, drop his favorite toy, and he doesn't go up and chase it. Believe it or not, you need to work on medium level distractions, excitement level distractions, and proof your obedience, not just go after the barking and lunging and things like that are happening in the house. Do you want to take over?
Did you recommend a slip lead?
Not yet. I just, okay. That's all I saw.
I'm also going to recommend a slip lead, giving you something that controls the head, where it's looking, where the puppy's going. So if you do get any kind of reactivity, a lot of it is preventative to prevent the reactivity. I see my dog, I catch his mannerisms. I look for lifted ears. He won't have pointy ears because that's not the dog. In the house, or even just right outside your apartment door if you're going outside for a potty. Yeah. Because did you mention territorialism? It sounds like territorialism.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's definitely territorialism.
Big time territorialism. The fact that you can go anywhere else and the puppy doesn't react, or the 11-month-old dog doesn't react, probably means territorialism. Mm-hmm. So what your focus is when you're in your apartment, when you're leaving your apartment, is to watch your dog's body language. You already addressed place, stepping in, getting them to back off. Yeah. Okay. Great. When you open your front door and you're getting ready to walk out of it, Sheridan mentioned it earlier for another client, mentioned how to like block or close the door if the dog pushes through. For me though, when I open my door, I want an existence at that front door. I don't have a young puppy who's just going out for a potty. I have a dog who sees that threshold as a boundary that he could react towards. So when I open my door, my puppy's in a sit, and then I'm looking at body language. If the ears go up, if the head drops down, if the body inches forward a little bit.
Stiffness.
Let's go opposite direction, away from the door. I might even close it on my way as I'm moving away from it. And then I'm going to come back to it. And I'm not going out that door right now. I'm going to spend the next 10 to 15 minutes working down my dog from that elevated state of mind of who's out there, who do I got to go for, how do I protect dad, how do I protect mom. You're trying to change the perspective. You're trying to change what they think their job is, because it's not their job. Yeah. It's your guys' job.
So what boundaries are in place? Like waiting at doors, waiting at thresholds, coming up and even getting affection from you because they're cute versus you've called them over to give them affection. There's all these little things throughout the day, probably some permissiveness that's happening without you meaning to. Normally it might not be a big deal, but because you're having this issue in the house, you need to be more strict of no, not right now, go to your bed or place or whatever it is you call it. The thing is you need to know. You need a valuable no. An 11-month-old Cavapoo, the let's go work, learning how to work your dog down from an elevated state, it's crucial. Everybody should know how to do that with their dog if they're having any issues at all. But even the crazy Labrador, everybody should know how to work their dog's arousal down. That doesn't involve just correcting their dog. Everybody should have that skill. With that being said, though, a pet corrector might help get you there a little faster because you are having these barking fits without seeing the alert ears. Like it just goes for the barking, right? So a pet corrector squirts out air. Might startle your dog a little to where they kind of stop. And then they might try to re-engage right away, or they might stop for good. Either way, you're going to do that let's go work that he talked about and bring your dog down even more and give them context. That's really the first step in many, many steps. But that's the first step that I would figure out how to do is get control of that barking and then learn how to work with your dog's energy. Once you've done that, then you can go get a clicker and get a food pouch and start to desensitize noises. So ringing of the key, like jingle your keys, or if you just hear a noise outside and you're at your desk, you've got a clicker and you've conditioned the clicker to mean food. You're going to have to look up how to do all this. It would take me, 20 minutes to break it down. But it'll be like, click food, click just toss food, click toss food. And then you hear keys outside or you've jingled keys, click food, click food, click food. Calmly. You don't even say anything. It literally is just click and drop a piece of food. So you also need to condition those triggers to mean something different. So this is a multi-tiered issue that you're dealing with. There is no quick fix, but hopefully that gives you a jumping off point.
We got one more.
We have lots of Instagram questions.
Okay. Let's do. Oh, Debbie, 13-week-old Shih-Poo, mountain of toys. But how do I stop her from biting? At the moment, she's like a snapping turtle. Any advice? Well, the toys don't do anything. They don't
Well,
matter.
the mountain of toys probably might be doing something. Might actually be creating more anxiety.
Well, I just mean that if she's biting you and you're trying to redirect to toys and it's not working, it's a relationship issue, not a toy issue. And the toys could be overstimulating her.
What I find with the mountain of toys, and I even saw it with my own dog 10 years ago, was more than 3 or 4 toys out. My dog's excited, I'm playing with her. She would have a toy, bring it to me. We do drop, I move it aside, she grabs another one, and then the next, and then the next. And every time she switches toys, she would get more and more overstimulated. It's very possible that you're playing with your dog and that overstimulation is transferring to you and creating more nippiness. That's if it's during play.
Yeah. I would stop petting your dog on the head and the ears, only do calm massage when they are already calm. And I would make sure you're working on fetch and drop it. Like that's the only time there's a toy out is when you're working on fetch and drop it, and start hand feeding the meals. So your hands start to represent something else. If it's really bad, 13-week-old dog, you could definitely go ahead and put on a leash in the house so you can control them and you can hold them out and away from you. till they calm down. Do you want to add anything to that?
Constructive versus destructive play. Constructive means they're learning commands and training through play, like drop and wait, sit, or stay, and then break and giving it back. Destructive play is when you have wounds on your hand by the end of the play, or your dog starts doing zoomies by the end.
Yeah. Honestly, I would just use the leash to calm them down because that's very likely to happen. Your pup can have a Kong, can have a nylabone, something like that, and then drop a piece of food before you pick it up for now. There's a question I want to get to. Is it Kazu?
Yes.
Because of the double up. Yeah.
They're in online school too.
They're what?
Online school.
Oh, our online school? Do you still want us to address it here, or you want to address it in online school? Okay. Just so you guys know, if you're part of our online school, we go over questions much more in depth and in person in the online school, but I'll give like our short version here, because it's a good question. A lot of people have it. I have a 17-week-old Aussie Labradoodle, and the mom is 2.5 years old. They love to play. What boundaries should I set for their playtimes? Well, I mean, if there's no issues between them, I would do 2 bouts a day, probably anywhere between 3 minutes and 15 minutes. Like, it depends on if they're amping each other up. It depends on if one of them's getting irritated. I have 2 grown dogs, and they love each other. This is Dusty and Dakota.
I knew you were gonna say it.
And when they can play 3 minutes, and they always are trying to up each other, and then one of them gets bit because Dusty bites everything that acts too excited. He's a border collie. And so much really depends on the relationship, and you don't want them like upping each other constantly, right? And then if one of them is getting overwhelmed or upset, you want to intervene and take a break. But I still wouldn't do it, even if they were wonderful together, I still wouldn't do it more than once or twice a day, because it can cause other problems. They just won't ever listen to you.
Like littermate syndrome.
Yeah.
Even though they're not
but it's
littermates.
not
I know,
littermate
I've read
syndrome.
it.
Yeah.
It's not actually littermate syndrome. It's almost like separation anxiety from each other, where the puppy will start taking commands from the older dog, and your older dog becomes your puppy's leader. We have to be the leaders of our household, just like you're the leader of your older dog.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that your puppy's taking cues from you, not from your older dog.
Yeah.
Solely.
And Kenna, you had a really great question about your 4-month-old Bernese Mountain Dog. Get a leash on that dog so you can control him a little bit better. And if you rewatch this, you will hear lots of tips that have to do with nipping and things like that. So hopefully that helps. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we will see you same time, same place next week.
Thanks for tuning into Ask a Puppy Trainer Show.
We hope you found some advice that you can use to help make puppyhood a little easier.
Don't forget to join us live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time on Instagram or TikTok at The Puppy Academy.
This is where you can get a chance to ask your burning questions in real time. And if you want even more puppy guidance, visit our website at thepuppyacademy.com for info on joining our online puppy school.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing to our podcast and leaving us a review.
These reviews let more people find us and supports us on our mission to help as many puppy parents as possible around the globe.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.